Hey y'all, this is the last Happy New Year page. I had some things to do before I could say Happy New Year over here on Tracey K Mitchell. I did it on Mama's Comfort Cooking and I did it on Life Lessons. This is the last page. I'm saying Happy New Year for the night because we got to do our first day of Black History 365. 365 days in a year. That's going to be a lot of studying for your old girl. But I want to bring you a little fun fact on Black history. I want to try my best, to the best of my ability, to get you a fact about Black history daily. I hope y'all had a great first day. 364 days. Krista Katie Wooten, Happy New Year. I'm going to give you a fun fact, a true fact, a real fact, an important fact, and we're going to look back in history, and then we're going to eventually get to modern day history. So I want to start off by saying Happy New Year as y'all come in. But Black history must be taught 365 days a year. We cannot teach it all in the shortest month of the year. And that's up to you to learn your truth. And that's up to you to be able to learn about who you are, where you are, and where you're going. Like the song say, do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Do you know? So I'm going to give y'all time to come in. Very interesting facts, as a matter of fact. It's just things you may have not been taught in school. It may be things you know. It may be things you don't know. It may be things you can enlighten me. Like yesterday, we talked a little bit about Jimmy Carter. I think he's one of the greatest presidents, a true Christian with a heart of servitude and love. And he helped with so many things. The guinea worms and all of that. He helped with the cure. He helped with Habitats for Humanities. So even though he is a white man, he still was talked about according to Black history. Thank you, Mother Ruth Robinson Burrow. I'm glad they like their Heavenly Pound Cake. Thank you, Mother Ruth. Hey, so Black history is also going to consist of good people too. You know, so it's not just going to be just like Jimmy Carter. He made Black history yesterday. All right. So there are good facts that you must understand that we're going to pull out with other races that have done some great, powerful things. But it's our history. So I'm going to get ready to give you a great talk today. Today's talk in Black history is going to be about slave auctions. The number one, the largest slave auction place, the biggest slave auction. You know, they did slave auctions everywhere. But it's just like when they tell you, you know how it goes. You got different convocations or different conventions, but they got some that's bigger than others. We know slavery began in Virginia, but the largest slave auction place was in New Orleans. All right. So when they get to New Orleans, they go to buy, of course, slaves. We were treated just like cattle. So before they actually took the slaves to New Orleans to auction them off to get the most money, because everybody was going, just like how everybody, when you read about the story with Hannah, how they all went up to do their offerings and sacrifices and give to the priest and pay their taxes. Well, they all would head out. Slave owners everywhere would head out to New Orleans to buy cattle, which was us. No, it was, just let me tell it and you can do your own research. It was New Orleans. I didn't say everybody did not have slave auctions. I said the largest one, the most popular one. They fed their slaves real good. They fattened them up to get them ready. Slaves were very thin. They were malnutrition, and they didn't have a lot. And a lot of times they didn't have much to eat, or did they get to eat? And so when they got ready to take these big trips, they would fatten them, feed them real good. Can you imagine just being able to be fed when you were getting ready to be sold off? The next thing is that when they begin the auctions, if a slave was pregnant, if she was pregnant, it was called a 2-for-1, because you had her and a baby inside of her. And it was called a 2-for-1 deal. And they had slave names. Slave names being sold, they didn't call you a man, a female, or a baby. A male slave was called a buck. A baby was called a pickaninny. And a woman was called a wench. I remember growing up, we used to call people wenches, pickaninnies, and bucks. And even to this day, you'll hear some people say, "What's up, young buck?" And I know I'm guilty of it. Somebody make me mad, I say, "Oh, wench." But those were names that they used when they were selling slaves at the auction. Now, there were 3 types of auctions. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? Send me some hearts. I know y'all can, at least you can wish me luck. Honey, it's Black History 365. So we're dealing with the slave auctions today. And so not only did they have certain names that they called them when they were auctioning them off, they auctioned everywhere. Again, they auctioned everywhere. Savannah, Virginia, Georgia, everywhere. But the biggest, a lot of the times, the biggest ones, they just had different locations. But New Orleans had a big auction. And so when they began the auction, they had 3 different types of auctions that would take place. One auction was called a grab and go. You grab the slave and you go. You know, and the second one was called scramble. You know, whatever was left, people scrambled and they got, and they put those slaves to work immediately. The third auction was called the best bidder wins. The highest bidder, whoever could make the best offer on that slave, would win that slave. End of discussion. And to be honest with you, not only did we have the name on the auction block as buck, pickaninny, and wench, we also, as slaves became cattlemen, they wouldn't call a slave a man. They looked at us as animals. So they called them boy. And so that's how you got the name cowboy. It was a direct hit to a man, that they would not call them cattlemen because they were slaves. So they called them cowboys. And that's why we say the name boy is a white racist word. So when we think on these things that our ancestors had to endure, when we think of the names that we use today, when we call each other in a buck, a pickaninny, or a wench, they did too. When we think about how we were treated just like cattle, I think about so many times we were slaughtered. There's one I'm going to tell you about tomorrow, how we were played with and considered, laughed at. It was a game. Hog head. I'll tell you about it tomorrow, so I have something to tell you tomorrow. And how different things we did that was fun to them and a game for them that they played with us. But we endured the suffering and the pain. But yes, we were auctioned off just like cattle today. Just like you would be if you have you ever been to a cattle auction? Have you ever went to a cattle auction, a cattle barn, and see them auction off all kind of cattle, Angus, beef, Colby? Have you ever been to see them, anything that you're breeding? Yes, cowboy was used originally as a derogatory title, a name. It was just simply, they would not call them cattlemen. So they used the word cowboy for the slaves. Tasha Ferguson. And like I say, we were not called like, here we have a female. They would say, here we, if it was a man, they say, here we have a male buck. That's what they call them. This is a big buck. This is a young buck. But they did not call them men. They saw us as animal. Or they would say a pickaninny. A pickaninny was a slave baby. A wench was a female slave. Well, I won't tell you the story about it because I'm trying to do Black History 365. So if I tell you that story behind that name, then I won't have nothing to tell you probably tomorrow, because I got to do this research and I got to pick up all this stuff. It's very informative information. Again, there were different slave ships. You had slave ships. You had the Spanish slave ship. So, you know, we're going to talk about the Geechees and the Spanish slave ships that settled in different places. And, of course, the slave ships that settled and how the slaves that, you know, the French origin of New Orleans, which was settled by them. And so there were slave ships. I want to tell you a story about a town in Alabama called African Town, and the slave ships that settled there, and the different tribal names. There's so many things that we need to learn. Okra. As we go along and talk about this, okra is another vegetable that came out of Africa. It was imported here. So it did not grow here. That's why you find a lot of Africans, they use okra in a lot of stuff. That's how you got okra soup, because okra grows in Africa and okra is imported to the United States, like so many other things. And that's why we cannot close our trade down with all these people, because we will be missing out on a lot. That's why we helped with Ukraine, because we get our corn oil and things from Ukraine. So as you know, export and import, and America was built on transit. So as we learn, we don't see the importance when we're in school of social studies and stuff, but it is a great importance that we learn our history. It's out there for us to learn. We are indigenous people. Some of us was here because we were all spread to the four corners of the world. And I've told y'all over and over, you all know what the four corners of the world is. So that explains to you why we all look a little different, talk a little different, and appear a little different. But yet we were all spread, you know. There's certain things that we must understand and know. There's some things that we think of are, how can I put it, African descent, but they're not. There are some things. Do anybody know what the number one religion, really, the number one religion that Africa, do you know the number one religion that came out of Africa? The number one religion that was in Africa? Because it wasn't Christianity. Do anybody got the answer before I give it to you? I'm giving you a chance. I'm not good. This ain't no social studies test. I just don't think you can learn about your history. Now, every day, I'm only going to spend so much time on Black history. What did you say? We don't need to get oil or okra from other countries. We have more than enough oil and okra. Okra is the easiest vegetable to grow. We didn't say that you had to go get it from other countries. You don't have to get it from other countries anymore, because it's already been. See, that lets you know while you flying on the back of an eagle, you don't know much. Marla, have a good day, because it's already here. Yes, who would know? Let me see who got it right. Yolanda Cunningham, Catholic. Catholic is the number one religion. The church, the Catholic Church, started out of Africa. The number one religion in Africa was Catholic. As we entered into the United States from slave trade and being forced to be here, We were taught through, they use Christianity as a form of us being disciplined and to be obedient to our slave owners. So we kind of gravitated into Christian. So, but it was Catholic. Absolutely. So, you could say we don't need to get a lot of things from a lot of people, but we didn't. The origin of it was not here in the United States, and it's called supply and demand. But when you deal with ignorance, and again, you got to understand, even some of the people that we're dealing with right now, if these people are in their 70s or their 80s, they already know. They know about Jim Crow. They know about all of that because they were probably, Donald Trump was like 20 years old by the time segregation started. So he's my mama's age. Donald Trump is like a couple of years younger than my mom. Well, the Jewish faith. Now you're talking about faith. I said religion. Sometimes they run different. Carolina Mitchell, because we consider ourselves Jews as a people. All right, but the Jewish, it was Catholic, as far as the Catholic Church, the biggest. Just look it up. You know what I'm saying? Just look it up. The Catholic Church, Catholic churches, and everything like that. And it wasn't until really Christians, even as far as, because you got to understand the Bible, and the stories in it are out of the continent of where Africa. And doing, what do we call ourselves? Jews. Or, well, let me put it like this. I'm gonna put it like this. If you look it up, wherever you want to place it, whether you want to place it all the way down the ladder of religion, if you want to, we were not studying Christianity. So wherever you want to put Catholic, you still got so many things that derived out of the Catholic Church. Was Jesus a Hebrew? Was Jesus a Jew? You don't think the President of the United States struggled when by the time we ended up segregating in the 60s, he was already 20. It's the Catholic Church. But you got a lot of religions that form outside of one base. The Roman Catholic Church. What was Caesar in the Bible? Who was Caesar? Deacon Calvin already know. What church was that? What was Pilate? The motherland. All of this started in the continent. If you go read, and if you read anything, you're going to realize all of this comes. I know too. You know too what, Willie? Willie, what you know? Yeah, they were Catholics. All this is down the pole, and well, what other religion was it then? What was the Jewish religion? I'm trying to understand. Is it a religion called Jewish? I thought Jewish was people. I'm asking for everybody and myself, because nobody answered. Which one was Jesus? Was he Hebrew or was he Jewish? Is Jewish a religion? I'm trying to figure out. I just want to know for everybody. See what y'all say. Because I thought, I'm certain, but I didn't think Jewish was a religion. Is any Jewish people on here? Because I thought they were people. And the lady that was telling me I was wrong, she said it was Jewish religion first. That's what she said. Caroline Mitchell said Jesus was a Jew. He was Jewish. Catholic is way down the religion line. And she said that the religion was Jewish. So I was just wondering. Judaism is a religion. Judaism is a religion that Jewish people follow. Thank you, Black Guy Chaos. Jewish refers to the religion of Judaism. Okay. The religion is Judaism. So, okay. Thank you. So Jewish is a religion, fact find. No, Judaism is a religion. Jewish is people. But we helping you out, Caroline Mitchell. It's okay. That's what we hear. That's what we doing. We helping each other out. Judaism. Judaism. That's your religion. Jewish is not. Jewish is the people. They helping you out. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to tell y'all about the slave auctions and about where and how. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, John Moore Jr. Hey, Mother Joyce. So, as we can see, do research on the Catholic Church. You will find out that it came out of Africa. It was founded and started in that region. Now, again, we're going to be doing Black History. You can add, and nobody gets mad. You know, I love you. Yes, I do, Mother Joyce Anderson. Happy New Year. Again, like I said, the slave trade auction, the big one, the biggest one they would have typically would be in New Orleans. They had different slave auctions. They did the grab and go, just like the name. Somebody said Jesus was not a Jew. Hold on. Somebody said Jesus was not a Jew. Then Shirley said Jesus was a Jew and the Jews are people. And like someone stated, Judaism is the religion. Oh, thank you. King of the Jews. I wonder why they put that over his name, over his head when he died. Sammy Davis Jr. was a Jew because he practiced Judaism. Okay, did Jesus practice Judaism? Did Jesus practice Judaism? Okay. So things that make you go, I'm not saying I'm agreeing. I'm just reading the comments. Jesus was a Jew. Okay, let me finish this real quick. Let's go over this fact find. How was Jesus not a Jew if his mama Mary was? Crickets. Why did they put the name King of the Jews over his head? Did they put put it over his head because they really thought he was a Jew, or did they put it over his head to mark him? Hebrew is the language. Mockery? I think he was a Jew, but in his culture, they didn't accept him. Y'all, I think some of y'all went to Sunday school. I'm listening. So listen, Fly Guy, I'm doing 365. If you can come up with any fact finds on Black history, y'all, please give it to me, because we're doing 365. But we won't take our whole segment every day to do Black history. We will only just do a little bit of Black history. I thought the Jews didn't believe in the coming of Christ. His own didn't know him, did they? All right. They put it over his head to mock him. Hebrews were people. Yep, they were. So, I used to work with a Jewish doctor, so I know a little. I'm gonna tell you one thing I like about the Jewish people. They keep their dollar in their community. We, people of color, our dollar does not stay in our community an hour. And we're going to get into that. Because before segregation, we kept our dollar in our community. But after segregation, and if you pay any close attention, a lot of stuff when it comes to the Jewish people, especially white Jewish people, they keep their dollar in their community and they don't interact or engage. It's amazing that a lot of people, like even the mafia, they never touched them. They never did nothing. So, all right. So remember, we're going to be doing it. Okay. So remember, when you call somebody a buck, a pickaninny, a wench, or a cowboy, those all derive. Israelites is their nationality. No, there are people that call themselves Hebrew Israelites. That's what they call themselves. The Orthodox Jews don't believe in the coming of Jesus. But the Masonic, the Messianic Jews believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. So there's two different types of Jewish people. All right. And so again, during the slave auctions, we were treated as cattle, and they didn't call us males, females, or babies. They didn't even call us Africans or blacks. They called us buck, pickaninny. The bucks were the men. The pickaninnies was the babies. Wenches are the women. Cowboys is derogatory, the word boy, because they would not call us men like cattlemen. So that's where you get that name. They did feed them. They fed us real good so that we could get buff for them to sell us on the auction block. Also, when they put us up to be going into bidding when they were bidding on slaves, they put us in this small building, the size of a tiny bedroom, and it had a window up high. They put the window up high in the little room so that the slaves wouldn't try to escape. Then they cut like a trough in the middle of the floor. That's where you use the bathroom. You had no other choice. They would put 70 to 80 slaves in one room, and there was no air conditioner. So a lot of them ended up dying. A lot of them ended up, because sometimes slave auctions would take a while before they came back. Sometimes they would be in that room for weeks on end, and they didn't have adequate drinking water, and they did have the water hose like things down there where they used the bathroom, and so they would have no other choice but to either endure the smell and drink that, or they wouldn't have anything. A lot of them were malnutrition. A lot of them ended up dying, just like the babies. The mamas weren't allowed to breastfeed them because they had to breastfeed the I'm gonna keep repeating things over and over as we go through the 365. So you might hear me piggyback on one, just like when I told y'all the other day that the white slave owners' wives would line her pregnancy up with a slave's pregnancy so that they would have the babies at the same time. Once the slave gave birth to her baby was taken from her. Either they're going to sell it as a pickaninny or somebody on the plantation would take care of it. A lot of times that baby would be malnutrition and almost die because it wasn't getting adequate milk unless another slave was willing, after they got through weaning a baby and they still had milk, to give that slave baby some milk. And so she would have to line them up. The slave then would go in the house, sleep up in the hot attic, come down, breastfeed that baby, take care of that baby while she was still yet not healed from giving birth to her baby. It was done immediately. It was not waited upon. Just as soon as the slave owner's wife's baby was born, she would have to, if she gave birth before the slave owner's baby was born, immediately she had to stop weaning her baby so that she could and she had to leave her baby. So it was not like go feed your baby and feed their baby. Once they went in the house, the slave baby's baby was not allowed in the house with the slave owner's baby. So they only could use their breast liquid gold to feed the slave owner's baby. Our ancestors went through a lot for us not to get along, for us not to love each other, for us not to care no more than we care for each other, for us to treat each other any kind of way, for us to all time jump ship, mood swings, get upset, get mad, get angry. Jealousy was instilled in us in slavery. We have it to this very day. Branding is a very thing that we were done. We were branded. And I hate that they still have that same thing over in Greek society. The Qs will brand themselves. They will get a thing and stick it on their arms. They use that for cattle. All of this kind of stuff is learned behavior that we have got to get rid of. Even down to wearing pants. A lot of y'all think the pants below the waist started in prison, but it actually didn't. The pants below the waist began with slave owners. When they were R-A-, P-, I and an N and a G. When they was doing that, and we had gay owners, slave owners, and they would, force themselves on men. So they made the men do that for easy access, as they not only took advantage of the females, but they took advantage of males. So that's a lot to think on. But they never did. They didn't feed their own. See, and we became attractive to the white slave owners because we were very intelligent women. We cooked, we cleaned, we breastfed, we took care of their kids, and then we had to come, and we didn't sleep on mattresses. We slept on hard box springs or wooden planks that were put together. And then we didn't have the mattress part of it. And we had to use the bathroom, cook, clean, and everything in that one tiny little room. There is a place in New Orleans called the Whitney Plantation. Go on YouTube and look it up and look at the tour. Whitney Plantation has iron figures of cutouts of black people. Some people did an amazing job doing it. Kids in the yard and everything. They actually have a tour that you can take. It's about $75 to $80. If you're in the outskirts of, it's actually not in New Orleans. It's about 45 minutes on the outside of it. I can't think of the name. It's between New Orleans and somewhere else. I don't know the names. Yeah, they sodomite, yes. And they everything was done. So after they got through, so they began to be attracted to our built this BBL stuff that's going on. I want to tell you about a slave that they used and took around. I'll talk about her probably tomorrow. They took her around in the carnival because how she was built. She had a elongated waist and she had a hump in her bunkum out of this world, and she was built, and they used her on display. Hello from Canada. Hey, Etna from Canada. We know they still are people. I was speaking in the past tense and responding to someone else. Thank you. What? What? He didn't say that you wasn't a people, Bridget Blakeney. And we don't argue over here. Thank you. You can be Hebrew Israelite. You can be whatever you want to be. Nobody is judging you. Yes, tattoos derive from different parts of the world. All tattoos are not the same. Just like there's a tapping tattoo. You find them doing it a lot in Hawaii. Tattooing represents different things. I myself don't care for tattoos because it reminds me, tattooing and branding, the branding that you actually really do see was done like cattle with the horseshoe thing. Now the Q dogs do that. But anyway, I just wanted to do a little, every day we're going to do a little bit as a part of, take a little time, whether I'm cooking in the kitchen, talking to you, motivating you, we're going to talk on Black history. And it's not designed to offend anyone because we talking about Harriet Tubman, and it was some amazing white people that helped Harriet Tubman get us from where we needed to go. So you can't say everybody hated Black people, or there are some people understood that God loves everybody, and that's why we were able to. Harriet Tubman was able to do what she did because she had amazing white Christians to help her do the work that she did. So you also have African biblical studies. So some of our stuff, we even still need to go into. There are some teachers, there are some theologians that teach African biblical studies. I have never took an African biblical study class, but there are a lot. They talk about, too, the lost books of the Bible. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Tonight, I just want to give you just a little bit brief. I will piggyback a little bit more dealing with slave auctions. I just want to give y'all a couple of things. Three different types during this time, how they did it, what we were called, the nicknames that were used, and pretty much that's what we covered tonight. And Harriet Tubman, she died at the age of 91 from pneumonia, but she had a long run. Did you know Harriet Tubman ran away from home when she was 7 years old? But see, if I start talking to y'all, I won't have nothing to tell day after day after day. But I do want to take a African biblical study course. I've never took one, and I'm sure I would be very fascinated, and I'll be able to understand even greater magnitude of this. But I tell people all the time, how are we going to be first if we can't get along where we are? How are we going to lead? How are we going to lead? And especially by example. How we expect other people to love us when we don't even like each other. Forget love. And how you get mad when other people start doing good or when other people have. I'm surprised you didn't talk about the history of Watch Night. I did. I talked about that yesterday, Fly Guy. I told the story about Watch Night service and how it came to be. So I talked about that yesterday because I said I was going to do Black History every day. What was the name of the plantation? What plantation? Which one? Picnic came, Deacon Calvin, like the name say. Pick, and you know the N-I-G. Yeah, I told him about that, Fly Guy, about Watch Night service and us being released, staying up all night long, watching the New Year end. We didn't know what time it was. See, y'all gonna make me tell too much history. Just like with Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman, she did a lot of her rescues at night. And she did it in the winter months. Because that's the dark months. It stay darker longer. So, I did. But a lot of people, my mama age, can tell you about. We're going to talk about segregation and all of that. We're going to talk about all of that. We also know that Shirley Palms, and we're not trying to talk bad on anybody. We also know, let me explain something to you, Shirley. Nobody ever said we were perfect. It's our history, though. We never said it. We never said that black people, we done watch Roots enough to know that black people help catch each other. We know that. We know that black people own slaves. We know that. But see, the mentality of saying, let's not forget that black people caught slaves, or let's not forget that black people owned them. We know that. We don't have to say that. Well, we got to make sure other people that's listening to us tell our history is very comfortable with what we're talking about, so that they don't think that we're ragging or dogging them because of what their ancestors did. We know. We know what we did, and look what we're doing today. And look what we do today. Who is the number one person that'll drag each other, dog each other out, and cause a riffraff in the church, fight in the church, and everything? Us. We'll fight the preacher. We'll try to tell people business. We'll do everything to destroy something good. We do. We number one. Why? Because we were taught it. Just like we were taught to keep a secret. We kept secrets. We had to be secret keepers until one of us got too much heat on us and we had to tell it. There's a lot of slaves died because they kept secrets. We can't get nobody to keep no secret now. Child, you tell somebody you're going to let them claim their child on taxes and they're going to tell you. You know, we always got to bring out the bad part about us. We got to always try to exemplify and let somebody know what we did. We know. Our black preachers be cussing in church. We be doing all the stuff. You know, they already said it. Broken homes. We already know. We know that. We can be our own worst enemy. So, let's not forget. Well, what can we forget? We know. We know how we roll. We know how we love to try to show each other up. We can't be happy when some people get stuff. We got covenant spirit. We can't rejoice with people. We negative. We always the one leaving negative comments. We always the one in the comment section showing out, wanting to get in an argument. We are our worst enemy. We'll tell on each other. We are. We the one rag each other, talk about each other's hair, talk about each other. If I was skinny, you would never have nothing to say. But because I'm overweight, you want to constantly pick at people for being big. Congratulations, my choice. She said she did research on her dad's family. They were just written into the Texas history book. What was they written in there for, my choicey? We know. That's not the thing we got to pull out. See, we always want to pull out the negative against our own self. We don't even give other people an opportunity to talk the negative on us. We look for the negative. And that's the saddest thing. I'm up here giving another race a compliment by saying they helped us. And then you speed around real corner and say, yeah, because you know we helped hunt slaves down. You know we own slaves. You know we did this. Why? That was very important to say. But we know this already. Go watch Roots. Go watch A Birth of a Nation. Go watch the Book of Negro Slaves. Go watch it. And we are deplected all the time. They remind us of what we did. And like I say, we try, and sometimes we called them because we had no other choice. Now, did you add that part in there? That we caught slaves, but if we didn't, we probably would be dead because they made us and they gave us a weapon and we didn't know what a gun was. And did you know it was not something we wanted to do? It was something we had to do. And those that ran down and caught slaves, they were slaves too. And a lot of them, when they got through using them, they ended up unlifing them. Yeah. My great-great-grandfather, Neelan Britton, was one of the original cowboys from the Butler's Ranch. Wow. And also, they were original Buffalo soldiers. My great-great-grandfather was the first slave to ever own land in Texas. Girl, I'm so... that went through my body. Congratulations, Chauncey. Congratulations. She said her great-great-granddaddy was the first slave to own land in the state of Texas. Texas being the second largest state of the United States. First is Alaska. Ain't that something, y'all? She said her great-great-granddaddy, not only was he a cowboy, but he was the first. They were Buffalo soldiers, and he was the first to own land as a slave in the state of Texas. Jamsetta said, in the state of Virginia, a free slave had to leave the state in 1 year. Therefore, a free slave was the property would buy the slave to take care of them, to use them as slaves, and they could stay in Virginia. Also, slaves, I'm not saying... Okay, Miss Shirley Palms, I understand. Okay. I understand what you're saying, Miss Shirley Palms. You said that because just to let people know that, like, white people weren't all bad, all black people weren't all good, and that's true. But to be honest with you, Miss Shirley, they did it because they had no other choice. I'm just trying to explain that to you. They didn't really have no other choice. Either they were gonna hunt them down, because at the end, if you go watch the Book of Negro Slaves, after they caught them, they had to get on a slave ship too, and a lot of them, they were chained the same way, and they were also unlived as well, and they also ended up on, if they wasn't sold, they were ended up on plantations or unlived. Even though they caught them, they didn't have no other choice. They really didn't have no other choice. So that's all I was trying to let you know. I just think we got so much, and you can't teach it. You can't teach it in 1 day, or in 1 month, and it's the shortest month. They also donated back land to the first black church in Texas City, Texas. What? They also gave land to Phillips School in Texas City. They also donated land back to the city, which created the city hall and stuff like that. And that's what my friend, I think she's buried in Texas City, Texas. When we was trying to go see her, when we were in Houston, it just rained. And then they told us she was in Texas City, Texas. Then it changed to some other piece of Texas, and we couldn't find her. It was like I didn't know where we were going, and it started flooding. I didn't like. Now, no disrespect to Texas people, but I didn't like Houston, Texas. Now, when I went to Dallas, I enjoyed it. It rained. It was weird. Every time you turn around, it would just break out raining when we were there, and the streets would flood. Like, yeah, we talked about New Orleans and the shooting. The streets would flood so bad. I'm like, what is going on with the drainage system? So I didn't enjoy Houston. I know Houston is supposed to be. It had a lot of. I'm gonna tell you what I did notice. A lot of the neighborhoods and the areas was under regentrification. I noticed that. I did notice that. I saw a lot of areas that was run down. They still had run down houses that they were tearing down and building new construction and stuff. They were improving areas. And especially as you went toward their downtown, it was, yeah. But I just couldn't get used to the weather. I wasn't used to that. And I wasn't used to that flooding. Because it'll rain here, but the streets don't. I mean, like, it can rain all day long and they don't be flooded. But the downpour be so hard and heavy, and it'll stop. And I was like, what is going on? You getting your purse to go out? And I'm like, it's sunny and pretty. And I wasn't used to that. My grandparents also donated land to develop the first black church in this. Yes, they did. And also the school. They actually owned almost half of Texas City when it first was being developed. The name of the church is Bell Zion, which is still located in, how you say that? I can't say that word. Lamarque, Texas City. Baby, they got any more land? I don't want to live in Texas. I hope y'all hold on. I hope they held on to a good bit of the land. I hope the family still has some of that land. I pray y'all do. Because that is an honor. And I take my hat off and I bow down to your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, and the legacy and the history that they have left y'all. Because I'm going to tell you something. This new Generation X, they don't act like they want nothing. They don't want to learn how to cook. They don't want to do a lot of stuff. Legacies are being down. Lamarck, it's pronounced Lamarck. Thank you. Hey, Rosemary. But if you got any land or anything, and that's not a disrespect to the state of Texas, I'm just not used to that weather. I'm not dogging nothing out. I'm just not used to the weather. And I'm entitled to say that you can come to Georgia and say it's too dry. There's no, when I went to, I've been to Corsicana. I've been to Dallas. It was different. When I went to Houston, we would be getting ready to say we might put something on the grill, and it just come down like crazy. And I stayed in, what did I say? I stayed in Missouri City. And I've never seen that many little small towns. Like, I thought I was in Houston, but then the next thing you know, I'm in Missouri City. And then I went past, there was like a lot of little towns. It was a lot of little towns. I was like, wait a minute. My grandfather was the first African American to string the lines for electricity. My uncle was the first African American stock car racer. He's in the Hall of Fame. My sister is the first female linesman. They got our family in a book, and they got us in a museum here in Michigan. What part of Michigan? Linda McIntosh. What? Detroit? In their Black History Museum in Detroit? Yes. I see. The little couple of times I've been to Florida, I didn't experience that when I went to Orlando and Kissimmee, or Kissimmee, or however y'all say it. And when I went to Daytona, and I only was in Jacksonville, Florida, just enough to get on my cruise ship. So I've not really been, and I've been to Tampa, Florida. I stayed down there for Holy Convocation for a week. Well, Ames Convention for a week. And I mean, when I went across that water in Tampa and it was no guardrails, that did it for me. I can't believe I was on that thing, and somebody took us. We weren't driving, and we had a driver. They was taking us somewhere. It was a group of us, and when that man turned and got on that thing, I said, "Oh, hold up. Ain't no guardrails." He was like, "It ain't no guardrails. Grand Rapids." Oh, okay. I said, "Wait a minute. Ain't no guardrails." He was like, "Yeah, it's all right." He said, "Once you get on this, you can't turn around." He said, "I can't turn around." He said, "It ain't nowhere to turn around." We was in Tampa. It wasn't no guardrails. And it was like this road. And it went across the ocean. It just kept going. No, it is a white museum in Grand Rapids. Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know. I don't know what color you are, Miss Linda. I can't see. I have no way of knowing. Congratulations. Are you white or black? Oh, you black. Okay. I see you now. Florida is so overpopulated today. Is it? Oh. I see. It's a lot of places I've not been. I've only been, like I say, to Orlando and Kissimmee and to Daytona, and because you can drive on the beach in Daytona, and I've been to just Jackson a couple of years ago to catch a cruise, and I didn't get to visit or do anything in Jackson. I was just that's where we landed and caught a cruise. So I don't know that much about that. So yeah, so that's about it. That's my little spiel on Black History since it's day one. What did you say? Talking about black being the first. My father is the first former supervisor in Mississippi of Georgia Pacific. Okay. What's Georgia Pacific? Pensacola, Florida. You ain't missed nothing. Well, don't say that, Dean Kevin. That's your hometown. But it's different places I want to go. You should come to my hometown of Pensacola, Florida. Y'all on the far end, right? Y'all Pensacola is the end of Florida, right? The tail end. What did you say? Problem is people stopped going to church like families used to back then, huh? Oh, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, I just had to give my Black History moment. It's the first day. I ain't gonna be on here because I don't be on nighttime. But we got so much. We haven't covered our transportation, how black people played a factor. We have not talked about inventors. Remember, we got a while to go. So we can't just do everything in the month of February. We do know we got Juneteenth. And it was passed as a holiday. So, yeah, we not just for us to go cook out and grill. But anyway, I love y'all. Happy New Year. Lord willing, creek don't rise. Tomorrow's menu is going to be field peas. I'm going to tell y'all some stuff tomorrow. Field peas, I think I'm going to do cabbage. I got neck bones. And I'm probably going to do a few more things. All right. I love y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. Happy New Year. I done wished Happy New Year's. I was on Mama's Comfort Cooking page. Y'all will see me back over there on Mama's Comfort Cooking as well. Jeanette Alexander, Faith Peoples, each and every one of you, Patricia Williams. I love y'all. Thank you for everything y'all done for me. Now we're off to another new year. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Say a prayer for me. Go before the Father and intercede. Amen. And I am returned for you. I love y'all. I'm going to see y'all later. Good night, honeybees.